Sorry, we have a crazy merger going on right now. Compass is now acquiring Anywhere Real Estate for $1.6 billion. It's an all cash deal. Anywhere Real Estate, which, if you don't know, is the under the umbrella company. Under that umbrella, Anywhere Real Estate is Century 21, Coldwell Banker, Sotheby's. Okay. You are literally looking at Corcoran. So you're literally looking at, I think, 20 something percent of the market right there. Once you include, and to be honest, Corcoran is a top contender every one or two every single year on volume in New York City. Compass is up there, top five. It's always between Element and Corcoran. But then when you go nationally, you look at the two largest brokerages right there. You know, you could obviously add in Berkshire Hathaway, but Century 21 and Coldwell Banker is an unbelievable purchase. And then Morgan Stanley is helping tie the deal together. They're adding in $750 million into the deal. They are expecting sometime next year to actually close on it. But let's just go over these numbers for a second. Number one is 50,000 agents. Okay. And by the way, what they talked about is that everyone's going to be operating independently. Okay. That's wild. 347,000 agents under one umbrella, one company, all operating independently. That's a $10 billion enterprise value. And Compass shareholders, I should say, not Compass, but Compass shareholders will own 78% of the newly formed company. And I obviously have a lot of, say, opinions about this. Number one is when you put everybody under the same umbrella, you are obviously making it easier for operations because now you centralize the operations. It's kind of like when a bank acquires another bank, whether it's regional or national, you just centralize all the operations. It could be at somewhere in a flyover state. You have all the operations of, say, intakes of new clients or new forms or new appraisals or new mortgages, whatever the case is. You don't need them in New York City. However, the thing is, when you centralize in a real estate company, you are not really deciphering the difference between Corcoran and, say, Coldwell Banker, or Coldwell Banker Century 21, or Century 21 and Compass. You know, the big thing about Compass was obviously the technology, but if you are not making Compass across the board, it's a very interesting move. I don't know if this is just to ensure that this gets through regulatory approval, but to put 340,000 agents under the same umbrella worth $10 billion in one national brand under Compass is a significant move in the real estate community where all you're seeing is consolidations. I was just at a conference and they said, I think it was 78% of the agents did 90% or 95% of the deals. In other words, the more is getting bigger. The smaller percentage, I'm sorry, 5% were doing about 90% of the deals. So when you talk about consolidation, that's what's happening right now. It's really going to be hard for an individual broker to be making it on their own. They're going to need a team, and the team's going to have to be like a Navy SEAL style team. There's time of having one deal a year is gone. That's gone. One deal a year, agents, they're gone. They're not worth the brand. They're not worth the seat. They're not worth the training for the manager. So we're going to see huge amounts of agents leaving the industry. Number one. Number two is that the reason there are so many agents that entered the industry was COVID. COVID was on fire. Now that it's cooled off, the wave continues even though the market has slowed down, and then it recedes, and then the market gets better, and then they enter. It is directly out of the ocean, coming ashore and then receding, coming ashore and then receding. So right now it is a receding for all of the agents that have entered. So it'll be interesting what Compass does. I know Compass started to pull back on a couple of not only the incentives, but also they started having, thank God, finally, some standards to their agents. I heard a couple of agents saying that they needed to make certain criteria to keep their seat, or else they shared their seat, or else they had to work remote. They were still under the Compass brand. That was one of the biggest things, is that when you have all this public money coming at you and you're a private company, and then you are just sitting on a pile of cash, I guess going profitable is in the cards, but clearly after years, still trying to expand is one of the biggest hurdles going forward is cash, especially at real estate companies now that the DOJ has ruled down that anyone can charge anything, which has always been the case, but you can't even make it public. So no one's defending any commission. And now you're having a race to the bottom. I remember being at my former company, and they would have literally a scenario where they say, defend your commission. defend your commission. This is how you defend your commission. And you can't even really talk about it, which I guess is good for the consumer. But the problem is with the consumer thinks that everything is now a commodity. It's like if I go to the gasoline down at the local mart or the one at Exxon or anywhere else, it's all the same. Gasoline is the same as, say, buying water. It's all the same. It's a commodity now. And it'll be interesting what the consumers actually say to this now that you have 340,000 agents under the same brokerage worth $10 billion. This is the financial highlights. Compass exceeds $1 billion in additional revenue from Anywhere's operations, securing $750 million, as I said, from Morgan Stanley, which they just opened up, I think last week or 2 weeks ago, their headquarters. And Jamie Dimon gave actually a nice speech outside of there to the workers, which was very kind of him. Obviously, this is an incredible headquarters. It's through the roof. Beautiful building when you're passing by it in the 40s, right there in Midtown, just north of Grand Central. I highly recommend you just walk around that whole area between One Vanderbilt, which has an incredible tourist attraction. I think it's like $70 to go to its viewing area up there. All these buildings, by the way, are turning their rooftops into tourist areas. Even here in Midtown, my building, I'm at 1411 Broadway. This building is, I don't know, 50, 60 stories. They're turning this whole HVAC roof into a place that people that are in the building can go to. Maybe they're going to have something. I look all the way down. Each roof is now coming online with a bar or restaurant or something else. So that's additional revenue. And I highly recommend all buildings go that way. So those are the two big stories. We have a lot going on this week, and we're going to be going live to be talking about all of these stories in residential real estate.